Verse 4. A golden amputation. Wrath. Behold the wrath of Oryx, coiled for 10,000 years. Behold the golden amputation, the fall of Tai-Shebeth, the end of an age. We beat the worlds of Tai-Shebeth like skull drums, and we howl in joy for our black war moons as they ram silver orbitals and gleaming star webs, where infant Tai-Shebethi sun ravens curl and die unborn. In his throne world, Oryx paces 10 times. On the first pace, Kragor sends the accursed to blight the Tai-Shebethi worlds. On the second pace, the Tai unleash their battle plates and arsenal ships to fight our moons. On the third pace, Oryx's war priest meets them in battle, and he is victorious. He paints the void with fire, he salts the earth with ash. On the fourth pace, Mengur and Kradug, Dyad knights, go to the Raven Bridge, and they stand on it and kill the Tai for 10 years. On the fifth pace, the Tai Emperor Raven comes home to her bridge, and she cuts a moon with her talons. She cuts it open and kills its brood. On the sixth pace, Oryx speaks, saying, "Listen to me, Emperor Raven, and I will describe to you the last true shape, which is written on my tablet." And he puts out his fist, full of black fire, and he swallows up the Emperor Raven with a wound. Ayat! Only Oryx knows this power, the power to take. On the seventh pace, the perfect Raven comes out of Oryx's wound, and she spreads her wings across Tai-Shebeth. Never again is Tai-Shebethi child born. She is perfect. She enacts the will of Oryx. On the eighth pace, the Tai say, "Listen, you are spoilers, you are sphincters and excreta. You rot. Why do you kill? We made silver orbitals and golden star webs. We hatched eggs. We had a good thing. Our clothes were nice, our food was famous. With one of her feathers our emperor could have tickled the gods." On the ninth pace, Oryx says, "This is the only God. This ability to dictate what will and will not exist. This power to go on existing. This is your God. It is never ticklish." And on the 10th pace, the Tai-Shebethi are extinct. Then Oryx says, "Listen, my siblings. Do you know what we have done? We have conquered our way to the edge of the deep. It whispers to me when I call on it, and it guides my flight. It says that we are at its threshold, and that I should come inside. I will go and speak to it." Verse 4:1. Battle made waves. Oryx went down into his throne world. He went out into the abyss, and with each step he read one of his tablets, so that they became like stones beneath his feet. He went out, and he created an altar, and he prepared an unborn ogre. He called on the deep, saying, "I can see you in the sky. You are the waves, which are battles, and battles are the waves. Come into this vessel I have prepared for you." And it arrived, the deep itself. Verse 4:2. Majestic, majestic. Oryx, my king, my friend, kick back, relax, shrug off that armor, set down that blade, roll your burdened shoulders and let down your guard. This is a place of life, a place of peace. Out in the world we ask a simple, true question. A question like, can I kill you? Can I rip your world apart? Tell me the truth. For if I don't ask, someone will ask it of me. And they call us evil. Evil! Evil means socially maladaptive. We are adaptiveness itself. Ugh, Oryx, how do we explain it to them? The world is not built on the laws they love. Not on friendship, but on mutual interest. Not on peace, but on victory by any means. The universe is run by extinction, by extermination, by gamma ray bursts burning up 1,000 garden worlds, by howling singularities eating up infant suns. And if life is to live, if anything is to survive through the end of all things, it will live not by the smile, but by the sword. Not in a soft place, but in a hard hell. Not in the rotting bog of artificial paradise, but in the cold, hard, self-verifying truth that one ultimate arbiter, the only judge, the power that is its own metric and its own source. Existence at any cost. Strip away the lies and truces and delaying tactics they call civilization, and this is what remains, this beautiful shape. The fate of everything is made like this. In the collision, the test of one praxis against another. This is how the world changes. One way meets a second way, and they discharge their weapons, they exchange their words and markets, they contest, and in doing so, they petition each other for the right to go on being something instead of nothing. This is the universe figuring out what it should be in the end. And it is majestic. Majestic! It is the only thing that can be true in and of itself. And it is what I am. Verse 4:3. When do monsters have dreams? I'm walking down to the road. I'm going to the orrery to talk to my dad, and I hear this noise. So I look back, and my sisters are behind me, and they're ripping up the road. They've got these huge swords, execution swords, and they're levering the stones out of the road. The stones are covered in writing. They're like tablets. And there's dirt underneath full of worms. I need to get to the orrery before they catch up to me, so I start running, but right away someone tripped me. It's my dad. He's got his foot out and he grabs me by the horns and just slams me down on my face. I'm in so much pain I nearly throw up a worm. Why weren't you ready for this? Dad says. He's wearing glare goggles, those shiny goggles that he'd used to save his vision during lightning storms or sea fire. All three of his eyes reflect me. Didn't you know they'd be jealous because they couldn't come to the orrery and talk to me? Didn't you know they'd move against you? I start wailing like I'm 2 days old again, and I say, Dad, I thought you were my friend. I'm supposed to be safe here. But he just puts out his fist, and I realize he's laughing at me for believing him. Why did I think I'd be safe? In his fist he's got a black sun, and he holds me by the throat and goes to the tip of the black sun inside me. I can see my jaws in his goggles. 3 reflections of my jaws with so many teeth. So I start eating my dad. I bite huge pieces out of him and I claw him up. I eat his legs and I eat his arms and I eat his goggles and his eyes, and he says, Good. Good. This is majestic and true. But my sisters are still tearing up the road, so I don't know how to get back. Verse 4:4. More beautiful to know. Sometimes I wonder if I'm a nihilist. I don't do much except break things. That's what they say about me. We could have had a great civilization if it weren't for that damn Oryx, that damn hive. They don't believe in anything but death. The only way to make something good is to make something that can't be broken. And the only way to do that is to try to break everything. I'm glad I learned that the universe runs on death. It's more beautiful to know. But I'm lost somewhere strange. I think that Savathun and Xivu Arath are trying to steal the tablets from me. They must have cut off my tribute while I was away communing with the deep. I love them so dearly. No one else is clever or strong enough to try to break me. No one else can give me this gift. Once, long ago, I killed Xivu Arath on her war moon, and she blew up the whole moon to kill me with her. She was laughing in joy. I laughed too. A whole moon! A whole moon. It was a waste of a moon, but it taught me how to save myself from exploding worlds, which was necessary to fight the Ecumene. I love mighty Xivu more than a moon loves the tide. I'd kill her for this. Over and over. Forever and ever. When I get home from my wanderings in the deep, and I take back my throne, I'm going to have children. That's what I need. Sons and daughters to love and kill. Verse 4-5. This love is war. Xivu upon Oryx, uttered by Xivu Arath, sibling of Oryx. Betrayal. We have marooned Oryx within the deep. This is our obligation as Lords of the Hive, to make war upon each other, to eradicate weakness and make ourselves sharp. Obligations. Once I permitted Oryx to kill me so that he could gain the sword logic and overcome Akka, our god. This left me trapped deep in my throne. But Oryx, my brother, made war upon the Ecumene, and in that war he described me, for I too am war. Thus I was resurrected. Resurrection. Savathun and I conspired to strand Oryx on his expedition, but I secretly believe that I will be stronger with Oryx to war against. Thus I describe him. A description of Oryx. When Oryx looks upon you, you feel that you may vanish if he looks away. The crest of Oryx's skull is as long as an arm. In the course of its life, a thought moves from one end to the other. Upon his crest I have painted a line in my blood so that he will remember me. Each of Oryx's fangs has the precision of a finger with the acuity of an eye. Although he was born at the bottom of the universe and taught to burrow, Oryx has grown wings. The light of wildfire shines through them. Oryx teaches me, but he will not be taught. Oryx's body is corded with strength. His sinews and his muscles are as strong as his children, and his children are the strength of him. Oryx wears a raiment of worm silk, made from the caul of gods. The voice of Oryx may cause two different numbers to become equal. Oryx, my brother, is the bravest thing I know. Upon fundament he learned that we were the natural prey of the universe, the most frail and desperate of things. He thought about this carefully, and he found a way to fix it. He made us strong. He will lead us to eternity. Oryx, my brother, loves me, and this love is war. Verse 4-6, Eater of Hope. You are Crota, my son. Welcome. I fought my way out of hell to make you. I fought my traitor siblings, and I fought the swarming corpse of Akka, and I cut my way back into my own court, the High War, which had been usurped. Once I had made war on Savathun, and crippled her tribute so that she could never challenge me, and once I had tricked Xivu Arath, and poisoned her tribute so she could never again try to take my tablets, and once I had arranged my own lineages so that I would be greatest among the hive and secure on my throne. Then I found a mother to make spawn. One of those spawn was you. Your life will be a battle too. You'll have to win your place at the High War. I will give you nothing except this, your first sword, and this name I have prepared for you, We fight a war against false hope, Crota. We chase a god called the Traveler, a huckster god who baits young life into building houses for it. These houses are unsafe, for they cannot stand against my hive, and these houses are a trap, for they lead young life away from the blade and the tooth, which are the tools of survival and the means of ascension. Only when the Traveler is extinguished will the universe be free to arrange itself and assume, by ruthless contest, its final perfect shape, a shape which depends on nothing but itself. Thus, I name you Crota, Eater of Hope. There is an oath upon me, Crota my son, an oath against the wretched Teox. This I do not give to you. It is for me, your father, to bear. Let's go meet your aunts and uncles. Verse 4-7. Shapes, points. Look at you. Already you are grown, my daughter. Already you are a wizard. Have I been away so long? Now you are Ir Anuk, and Savathun cackles and rages at your brilliance. You have written 11 axioms describing the ascendant places, our throne world. You have announced that you will kill one of these axioms, as Akka would kill the truth, and in mantling Akka you will become a god, as I am. If you try it, I may kill you, or I may applaud. Well done. I brought you this bitter acid for your celebrations. And you, Ir Halak. You are a wizard too, as is the way of twins. I have been with Xivu Arath, who complains that you have made a song, and sung it in her throne world, and killed everyone who listened, quite irrevocably. Will we have songs instead of swords and boomers? What have you made for me? It is a tooth shaped like death. I will keep it in my mouth. What you have written for me? It is the course of the Nika Thought ship. I will track it down. I made you by cutting one larvae in half. It would not die. Each half grew into one of you. My sword is named Willbreaker, but it never broke you. Verse 4-8. The Partition of Death. One day Oryx decided to grow new wings. While he wrestled with his worm, he came upon his twin daughters dying in a wound between places. "What are you doing, my daughters?" he asked. He was afraid that Ir Halak and Ir Anuk were trying to go into the deep, where only the Tablets of Ruin allowed Oryx to go. "We are dying, father," they said, "as many times as we can manage." "That's adorably precocious." Oryx shook out his new wings. "But why?" "We propose a method by which ascendant souls can be detached and integrated into a tautological and autonomous thanatosphere, which we tentatively term an oversoul. Oversouls can be stored in a throne world as a mechanism of enhanced death resilience. As a side effect, new refinements of our death song may be achieved, moving us closer to a generally effective paracausal death impulse." Oryx brandished his sword. "Speak the royal tongue, or I'll pin you up for ear to eat." "If we can separate our deaths from ourselves and hide them, we will be hard to kill." Oryx went to his son, Crota. "Go keep an eye on your sisters," he said. "You can learn cunning from them." But while Oryx travelled to observe the deep destroy an ancient fortress world, Crota conspired with his sisters to learn their secrets. "I too will experiment with a wound," he said. With his sword, Crota cut open a new wound into a new space. In here he thought he might obtain a secret power. Out of this wound came machines called Vex. They invaded Oryx's throne world. Verse 4-9. Open your eye. Go into it. The Vex clattered around, constructing large problems. At first, their constructions were deranged, because they didn't understand the sword logic, which defined all rules in Oryx's throne world. The geometry perplexed them. "I'll cut them apart," Crota said. But just then, the Vex ritual of better thoughts manifested a mind called Kuria, Blade Transform. Kuria deduced the sword logic. "I have to kill everything," Kuria resolved. "Then I will be powerful." Crota's gate began to emit warrior Vex, huge and brassy. He leapt forward to fight them, but they blinked away. After they fled from Crota, they killed 2,000 of Oryx's acolytes and 10,000 of his thrall. Soon they had established themselves as powers in this world, by right of slaughter. "Come forth, sister wizards," called Ir Halak. "We need you." Iranuk pulled a sword star out of the sky. Together the wizards charged her with killing power and made an annihilator totem, which they used to smash the Vex. "Close the wound, Brother Crota," Anuk ordered. "We will find a cunning way to destroy them, but only after they stop constructing problems on us." But Kuria had instanced itself on the other side of the gate and built a holdfast to keep the way open. Kuria's objective was to exploit the paracausal physics of Oryx's throne to become divine. It organized a series of test invasions. For 100 years of local time, the siblings fought the Vex. When the Vex came to the Sword World, they were inevitably annihilated, but when the Hive went into the Vex world, they lost too much of their power to win. "Father's going to eat our souls," Halak sighed. Kuria captured some worm larvae and began experimenting with them. Soon, Kuria Blade Transform manifested religious tactics. By directing worship at the worms, Kuria learned it could alter reality with mild ontopathogenic effects. Being an efficient machine, Kuria manufactured a priesthood and ordered all its subminds to believe in worship. Then it set about abducting and killing dangerous organisms so it could bootstrap itself to Hive godhood. For some Vex reason, Kuria never attempted to introduce worm larvae into its mind fluid. Savathun was laughing, because she had tricked Crota into cutting that place. This drew the attention of the worm our god. Oryx called Ea. "Set your house in order." Verse 410. An Emperor for all outcomes. Oryx rushed home and read from the Tablets of Ruin. He put some of the Vex into wounds, to be taken by the power of the deep. Thus, he turned the Vex against each other. Kuria manifested a range of tactics, but none of them were adaptive. Oryx crushed all the Vex in his throne. Oryx thought that he could study the geometry, like the Vex. It was the map of perfect shapes. But he had to punish imperfection. "My son," he said, "this is your punishment. Come home glorious, or die forgotten." He picked up Crota by the legs and threw him into the Vex Gate network. Crota battled through history, becoming a legendary demon. In his early centuries, he often spared a few victims to hear oaths and protests against his father. Later, he came to understand Oryx, and he made temples and monuments wherever he went. Meanwhile, Oryx brooded on the Vex. "I've met a worthy rival," he said. "They want to exist forever, just as I do. But I don't understand them." At this, his worm began to chew on him, for he was bound to understand. He called Savathun to meet in the material world. She told him that the Vex worked tirelessly to understand everything, so that they could build a victory condition for every possible and state of the universe. "Then I must be a better king," Oryx said. "If they want to build an emperor for all outcomes, then I will be the king of only one. I will follow the deep wherever it goes, and document its power. Let us create a catalogue of the grave worlds, which will be our map to victory." Oryx knew that all life could be described as cellular automata, except for that life which understood the deep or the sky. and thus escaped causality. Out of love for her brother, which was the same as the desire to kill him, Savathun leaked a secret to Xivu Arath. Listen, Xivu, Oryx's throne world has been compromised. You can cut your way in from here. Xivu Arath used this to plan an ambush. But Oryx was too canny. The Taken King said to his court, the High War, "My throne world is vulnerable. I am going to move it." "Where?" asked Kagur, World Render. "Into a mighty dreadnought," said Oryx. "I shall keep my glorious mind cosmos inside a titanic warship." Verse 4:11. Dreadnought. To make his ship, Oryx scrimshawed one piece of Akka, who was dead but far from gone. He stole the hammer of Xivu Arath and the scalpel of Savathun, and he armoured his ship in baneful armour. When Oryx had built his dreadnought, he pushed his throne world inside out, so that it bled into the material space of the dreadnought. They were Cotominius and Adelaide, his ship and his sin. The dreadnought was within the throne of Oryx, but the throne of Oryx was the dreadnought. Ayat. This required a verse from the Tablets of Ruin. The whole court worked together to push Oryx's throne inside out. This was a day of joyous violence, and all of Oryx's broods marked this holiday as Eversion Day, which is celebrated by turning things inside out. Saith Oryx, "Go out into the universe, my court, gather tribute for me, send it home to my ship.
I am Savathun, Insidious.
I will
I
prepare for
graffiti this
long
notice
voyages
for you.
into the war."
These books are full of lies.
Now Oryx's throne was safe from incursion, because it moved so nimbly. Oryx attacked the Harmonious Flotilla Invincible, who guarded the Nika Thought ship. When the flotilla surrounded his dreadnought, Oryx put his sword into the hull, and he used the power of the deep, and the clever systems his daughters built, to push his throne world out into mere reality. By wrath and confidence he filled space with an egg of his throne. It swelled up like a ghost star to smash the Harmonious Flotilla Invincible. Oryx broke the last word off their name. In the Nika Thought ship, Oryx hoped to find the location of the gift mast, which had been left behind by the Traveller. Oryx wanted to eat it. But the Thought ship was a trap. Upon it was Courier Blade Transform,